Welcome to a brand new episode of the Real Life Podcast, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts and delivered by DoorDash.
I'm guessing my math is going to be incorrect. So if you're listening to this,
It's a bag milk intro kind of day. Episode 309 of the Real Life Podcast. I'm Tyler Uremchuk, Chalmers, Jay Wanye. Ding dong. Usual cast of characters is here, and we are brought to you, as always, by the HGA Group, the next generation of business services, built to serve you better so that when your business brings you challenges, they can bring you solutions.
Wait till you see the golf tournament. It's going to look like it's the HGA golf tournament that Oilers Nation is at, as opposed to the Oilers Nation golf tournament that HGA is at. They are just activating the course. It's going to be great.
They're really good with branding. Like, even at their offices, the elevator's all branded on the inside. And I was like, these guys have their shit together.
They do, man. They're like this, like hidden, like juggernaut, right? Like they're doing so much. They got the whole suite of services. They got, everyone knows them. I literally was just meeting with my banker about Umperville block, and I'm like, yeah, HGA told me to talk to you. And he's like, oh, and he just started like rifling off all their names. Like, oh no, yeah, like these guys send us a lot of business and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God.
Interesting.
Like HGA is like actually like supremely legit. There are overload here, I think.
I think we're shocked. We're like, holy crap, one of our advertisers is legit.
And that's why you should deal with them.
They got an insurance brokerage.
Couple housekeeping notes actually for the podcast. We should have done this before we started recording. Are we doing no episode Thursday?
I don't think we'll be.
Obviously, it's kind of impossible.
What we should do though is on the Real Life Instagram is we should do an Instagram live from the course for Remchuk for like 1 minute. Oh, you want to be able to edit it, don't you?
forget what's Tyler saying right now, Jay. Old Bag Milk's going to be cruising. I've got the Insta. We'll go live.
All right. Thank you.
We actually, you know what would be kind of funny
live.
is if we went live, because we're going to be golfing with Fanny Pack Freddy and his friend. If we went live and Bag Milk was there to shoot it for one hole and you watched us play a hole, that might be kind of cool.
That's exactly what we should do. There you go. Now you don't want to make content.
We'll do this. Forget what Tyler says. I'm there. I'm ready to record. I'm ready to go live.
Forget what Tyler says is the new tagline for this podcast going forward. All right. What was I going to talk about?
More of the mantra of the podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
The brand of the podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This feels unlike most podcasts because there is a lot to talk about right now.
There is
a lot.
But I also need to add that for next Monday's episode, I won't be here. So Waz is going to produce for you guys. You guys will get to shoot the shit with
Oh,
Waz.
the great and powerful Waz.
So are you then, since we're doing this, are you also away for Friday's ONR when we do the golf tournament recap?
Yes, Waz will be handling that.
Do you want me to partake on Friday's show?
Absolutely.
With a
Where the
graspy
hell
voice?
are you going, your Remchuk? You were just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only going.
Is there some big NHL news about to break that you're going to on vacation to avoid?
Just a big event coming up that you just want to bounce out of for?
No, actually, I kind of figured this was probably my last chance to take time off before things get a little crazy with DFO and the new hockey season and all that. So I'm going golfing for a little bit. Going to the mountains, as I do.
Unbelievable, this guy.
I know.
Yeah, well, then the answer is yes, Jay. ONR Friday afternoon, we will do a golf tourney recap. I'll be there. Everybody will be there. Caroline will be there. Jay will be there. Now Waz will be there. It'll be excellent.
I won't.
Yeah, no, that'll be much better then.
Probably.
Hey, can we? I just saw this, and I know it's terrible, and I don't want to make it sad, but I just saw and heard about Jimmy Hayes.
Oh yeah, super sad, man.
Awful.
That's terrible.
I mean,
Jimmy Hayes.
31 years old, man.
What's that?
31
He's
years
a
old, former
player.
He did
Bruins.
he did the Missing Curfew podcast with Scotty Upshaw.
He passed?
Yeah, he passed away this morning.
Oh, fuck. How?
It hasn't come out yet.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So yeah, super sad news. And I mean, I was actually gonna bring all that up at the end of the podcast, but we can hop into it now. Obviously,
just a tough week for hockey in general, really.
Yeah. Condolences to Jimmy Hayes. Also, I mean, Rod Gilbert, the legendary, iconic Ranger as well. That was super sad, and hockey lost one of its legends.
Super sexy old guy? The guy that always had the fashion? What happened to him?
He passed away yesterday, I believe, earlier yesterday evening. And then, of course, we had before on, I think it was on Friday, the three youngsters in their in the car, and one of them being Caleb Reimer, the Edmonton Oil King, and his two teammates as well. They passed away in a single vehicle crash. A really, really sad few days around
weekend for hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's Reimer, Sharma, and the Magnuson families. Our condolences to them, and the Gilbert family, and Jimmy Hayes, and I mean everyone who knew Jimmy Hayes. I mean he kind of had one of those legendary personalities around the hockey world as well. So yeah, tough few days for the hockey world.
Yeah, there's an absolutely flood of like Instagram posts and tweets coming out just about what a guy he was, and like legendary guy, you know, and. He's the older brother of Kevin Hayes, or younger brother.
They're close in age, but
yeah, they're pretty close. So yeah, it's a pretty tragic story. Well, all three of them are.
Super, super sad stuff, and it's never fun to transition away from news like that. But something we talked about last Thursday on the pod, and I know some listeners like Electronic Jordan were doing their homework this weekend for this one, but I just finished watching the Malice and the Palace doc like 10-20 minutes ago here before we started recording.
So good.
Holy shit.
My
How
problem
long is it? I need to see this.
Hour and 10 minutes. My problem with it is that it wasn't long enough. I wish they did a 5-part series on it, because man, it was well done. The stories were great. The descriptions were great. The interviews were awesome. The footage was dope. It was just really, really well done.
So JR, Bag Milk and your Chuck, we decided that on Thursday that it was going to be our weekend homework was going to be to watch Untold, which is a series on Netflix where this is the first episode in the series, and it starts with the Malice at the Palace. And what I like so much about it,
30 for 30, Charles.
It's just like it, man. You know, it's going to be untold stories. The second one is on a female boxer. I don't know the story, so there's going to be I think some like deep dives into some sports that maybe some stories that we don't know. But yeah, they obviously started with the Malice at the Palace because it's 17 years ago now, and it's an intense story in the fact that there was a whole story behind the story. There were so many little tiny factors that led into that. And when you just, I remember seeing it on TV, and I remember the reporting afterwards, and I remember how I felt about Ron Artest, and I remember how I felt about it in general. And when you hear the story 17 years later of the three players mostly involved in this, it was a powder keg, man. It was about to explode. Now, the thing that I took away from it the most was that obviously, like, Reggie Miller was one of,
that was heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. One of the top 10 basketball players probably in the world, and when a guy's at the tail end of his career, you see organizations, and what they try to do is they try to piece together a bunch of talent, regardless of the cost, especially for a guy who has been in that organization for as long as a guy like Reggie Miller has. And so what they did was they got a young Jermaine O'Neal and a young Ron Artest, two players that were miles above everybody in their defending. One was a great interior defender. One was a great exterior defender. They basically were a lockdown team at that point. And in the first season, they went on to play the Detroit Pistons in the final, in the semifinals, conference final. And it was a hard fought series. And, it came down to the way they kind of projected it was that Ron Artest took a flagrant foul in a game 6 that they then ended up losing, and kind of he became the scapegoat for them losing that series. The year before, they had lost to LA Lakers. They were like the best team in the NBA at that point, and it was kind of known that whoever was going to come out of this series was going to have the best chance to win the NBA final, which the Detroit Pistons eventually did after beating the Indiana Pacers. So in the offseason, they go, look, we're probably the best team in the league. Let's get one more piece, and they get Steven Jackson. Now, when you watch this documentary, you realize that Steven Jackson and Ron Artest are probably at the high end of like the crazy spectrum of the whole thing, like crazy, and if they see a war, they run to it, type
it doesn't
of thing.
take much to get them there either.
It doesn't take much to get them there, right? And
so maybe you could say they're like the Chris Chalmers of the team, as it were.
they have a short fuse, yes. And so to kind of put a bookend on why this happened, there's about 30 35 games left in the season, and they're playing Detroit, and this is like the game. There's lots of animosity towards this game. This is, the two best teams in this conference, and they're meeting in Detroit, and the fans are electric, and the place is just going crazy. And Ben Wallace was a player on the Detroit Pistons who was somewhat like Artest and Steven Jackson. He had a really short fuse. Well, it wasn't known that just a week prior he had lost his brother. I'm not exactly sure how, but Ben Wallace was playing with a heavy heart, and the game was intense. The game was crazy, and
blowout.
The Pacers absolutely took it to him.
Yep.
Right. And so at the very end of the game, obviously Ron Artest takes a foul against Ben Wallace. He shouldn't have taken. It was a hard foul, up 15 with 52 seconds left in the game, and it absolutely lit a fuse that very easily could have been put out, and I think was on the way to being put out.
Yeah, it was almost there.
It was almost there.
Because he takes the foul on Wallace, and it was a hard foul. Like, there's no question about it. But then that caused a scrum on the court with all the players are pushing each other, and obviously these are giant human beings we're talking about. So that gets a crowd that was already on edge revved up, and it just seems to be escalating and bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. But in the documentary, they're talking about, well, what the fans kind of don't know is a lot of these guys are friends and train together. So a lot of this pushing and shoving is for show a little bit. But then go ahead, Chalmers. It just kind of escalated.
So a few little key points that you would have never known that really made this a little bit more of an exclamation or more of a situation that was ready to explode. With about 2 minutes left in the game, or 5 minutes, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, but late in the game, the lower bowl crowd had started to leave. And so, the upper bowl crowd had started to funnel down. It was a Friday night. People were getting all boozy, obviously.
The gallery's coming down to March.
The gallery's coming down. The most interesting thing that I thought was, Ron Artest is an interesting person. And I really, I felt bad for the way that I felt. Meta World Peace. I felt bad about the way that I felt about him at the time. Because, everything you would see, it was just the narrative around was he was a loose cannon, and he, kind of maybe before it meant any mental issues or something like that could be really defined or was really getting understood. He was somebody who had, small mental issues with anxiety and depression. He was working through it. Depression. He had a psychologist that traveled with the team. Everybody knew that he had to take sessions. And so one of the things that they were working on was when he feels himself getting anxious, that he works in a 5 count. And this 5 count is designed to get him back to center and to bring it all in and get him back to calm, right? And the way he explains it was when he's laying on that scores table, everybody's saying, this is weird. But what he was doing was he had found a safe spot on that scores table, and he was going through his 5 count progression. And somewhere in that 5 count, all of a sudden, they show it on the thing.
The way they described it.
Oh, it was so good, man. The beer cup comes in slow motion and hits him. And it was a perfect shot right in his chest. Yep. And he immediately gets up and charges the stand. And it's on from then.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
He goes into the
runaway train.
Oh, my God. I don't remember
like Chalmers said, the way Reggie Miller is describing it. He's like, out of the corner of my eye, you see flipping through the air a beer, and then boom, right in the chest. And then there goes Ron Artest beelining to whom he
Does he see the guy who threw the beer at him?
Well, he thinks he did.
He goes to row 10, and he's really close.
This is Slapshot, the basketball edition.
Yes.
Yeah. He gets the guy beside him, and the guy that ultimately throws the beer cup, he ends up grabbing the back of Ron Artest. But now Steven Jackson, he's ready to go. So all he sees is Ron go, doesn't even think twice, and he's up there, right? And it's just, it's crazy. It's absolutely one of the best pieces of storytelling, because even that, I love that part where Reggie Miller's it was in slow motion, as if everybody was meant to see this thing coming down and watch it exactly land on Ron Artest's chest. And man alive, from then it's just like it gets scary. Like it gets
Absolutely.
really scary
Yeah.
because guys are there was no police in sight. At one point the Indianapolis Pacers, they characterized it as it felt like it was 15 versus 30,000, and we didn't know how
It
we
looked
were to
like
get
that.
out of there. Yeah. So
'Cause
anyway,
you got-
Remchuk, you
like,
said
you've
you
got
had
guys-
takes, and I basically hijacked the shit out of that.
Go Bag Milk. You go first.
You've got guys essentially. So you got the Pacers there trying to. So Ron Artest is up in the stands swinging from the shoelaces at people. And then what was the guy's name? Jackson. What's his first name?
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson.
Randy
So
Jackson. Randy
Jackson from American Idol was up there.
Yeah.
So he sees.
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
He sees Ron Artest getting swarmed by fans. So he runs up there and starts throwing bombs. Like he was just like, I see.
Are they on the road or are they at home and he's getting beat up
They're
by
on
his
the
own
road.
fans?
No, they're
on the road in Detroit.
Oh, boy.
So he's throwing
no.
bombs at the crowd. He's like, I saw my brother up. I'm paraphrasing. I saw my brother up there and I knew I had to help him. So he sprinted up there. And all I could think of is like, if I'm sitting around there and there's a 7-foot man charging at me full speed, just fist cocked, ready to go. Like, what a scene. But then they were just
or
getting
run
mobbed.
the other way.
He's getting mobbed. They were just getting mobbed. And then all of a sudden, other Pacers were kind of getting in the mix to try and pull guys out. And then even when they got them kind of out of there, out of the crowd and back onto the court, Pistons fans started flooding the court. There's this one part where this just complete fuckboy douchebag, in my opinion,
Oh yeah.
makes
Charlie
his
H.
way.
Charlie H.
He makes his way to the court.
Chalmers knows him.
He makes his way to the court and squares up with Ron Artest, who is now starting to finally calm down a little bit. He describes himself as, I was just trying to get out of there. Like, I wanted to get out. And then there's this fan standing in his way, squaring up with him with his fists ready to go. So Ron Artest just beats the shit out of him. And it was just like,
Wanye, they have this guy, Charlie H., in the documentary. He's a season ticket holder, and the director of operations for the Detroit Pistons had been having problems with this guy. And at that game, and I don't know if this is bullshit or not, but says at the beginning of the documentary, at this game, this fan was going to be notified that his season tickets were going to be canceled, that he was no longer going to be allowed to have those.
And he
tickets.
fought Ron Artest that night.
So this guy comes.
I think they're right to take away his shit.
And so Charlie H. comes and in the video, it's an iconic picture. He comes down with a towel in one hand, a fist cocked in the other, and goes into a stance. And Ron Artest is just like, "What the fuck is this?" And so he throws, because that's what you do when you're in that kind of a situation. And you're Ron Artest. He's like, "I didn't want."
Yeah, for sure.
But, so he starts throwing, and that just ignites even more now on the court. Like, and then Jermaine O'Neal comes in, and he's trying to fucking level guys, and dudes end up throwing chairs. But so I want to get your Remchuk's side of this before we get into basically the aftermath of the whole thing, because the aftermath might just be as interesting as the actual fight.
yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, they get into a lot of this, but like, yeah, that Charlie H. guy, one, in the moment seems like a piece of shit. Like, what were you expecting walking onto the court with your fist closed
And
in the middle
squaring
of a
up.
brawl? He was squaring up, and he tries to paint himself as like some sort of victim in the
And he
documentary.
got sucker punched or something.
Yeah, he
like-
goes, yeah,
Oh, boy.
whoever it was, Jermaine O'Neal, he sucker punched me. It was a bitch move. Like, man, you walked onto the court in the middle of like a brawl.
How are you even fucking coming into contact with players during a basketball game?
Well, yeah.
Idiot?
So he does that whole thing. And then you have like the head of security who was like, yeah, I heard people, I don't know if it was Charlie H. specifically, who were like, how great would it be if we could sue these guys? Like, again, piece of shit from that perspective. And even at the end, he like goes on to blame the organization and was like, they kind of like did a loyal fan dirty. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. And it's like,
So I'm assuming because he fought Ron Artest, they let him have his tickets for free for the rest of his life, or how did it end up?
No.
They're like,
Not even close.
we were going to kick you out of here forever, but that was pretty iconic. Here you go. Free tickets for life.
So Wanye, I'm going to also give you a glimpse into the mind of Ron Artest, where they finally get the Pacers into the locker room, and they're all sitting there, and Ron Artest looks at Steven Jackson, and he's like, kind of like, they're breathing deep, and they're kind of just like, "Hey, Steven, you think we're going to get in trouble for this?" Jermaine O'Neal looks over and is like, you're lucky we still have jobs tomorrow, Ron. And Ron's like, oh shit. Like he's just so, he politely put, I think he's really immature. I think
the man boy.
I
think so. Yeah.
I think he thinks at like a low grade level, but he's in the way he kind of explains himself, he's very self-aware of that.
Yeah.
He's self-aware of the fact that of all the things he did, and like even in later on when he left the Indiana Pacers right after this, and these guys are all like, "You're gonna leave us now after this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know it's a coward move. Like I know it's a fucking coward move." And he says it in an interview later, which is
after he wins a championship.
Why did he change his name to Meta World Peace? Was it to get out of a contract?
Because he did a lot of weird things, man. He like at the beginning of this season, he wanted a month off because he was gonna
finish a rap album.
Right? and then like halfway through the season, he's like, I need a couple days off because I got a death in the family. And then all of a sudden he's presenting an award at the Source Award. And you're like, what is this guy doing, man? Like,
hey, man, you can multitask. You can grieve on stage.
He is Rodman 2.0.
He's totally,
yeah, kind of
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So you see this all as a fan or as somebody just listening to the news, and you're thinking, it's being portrayed as this is a crazy person. This is a crazy person doing really crazy things, right? And so that's what everybody thought of him. So it wasn't really a shock when he changes his name to Meta World Peace, but in the documentary,
okay.
he basically is, I guess, if you wanted to look at this from the top layer of the whole situation, because of the suspensions that they incurred, which was Ron Artest with a rest of the season suspension.
And this was right as the year started also.
Steven Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal both got 25 and 30 games, and they're the three best players other than Reggie Miller, so there's their season. They're gone. Like
that was supposed to be their, like, this is our last, like they were going to do it for Reggie Miller. Like, this is our go for it year. We're all in on this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so now it's 2 seasons in a row that you can basically put a stamp on that Ron Artest has ruined a championship chance for Reggie Miller. And then he just leaves, abruptly just leaves. He says, I can't deal with this. I don't even want to every time he says he puts the Indianapolis Pacers jersey on or even looks at himself in it, it gives him like high anxiety. He thinks of that moment, and he just needed to get as far away from that as possible. And so he asks for a trade. He gets traded to the Lakers, and they win a championship. And after the championship, on the floor, he gets taken up to the desk. They say, Ron, you're champion now. How do you feel? And he goes,
is his name Meta World Peace at this point, or Ron Artest still?
No, it's still Ron at this point.
Yeah.
But his answer was, it was telling in how self-aware he was, because in that amazingly joyous moment, he says, I should have done this last year with Steven and Reggie and Jermaine, but I didn't because I left because I'm a coward, and now I'm here, and now I have it, and I don't, I should have done it. And he's
tortured
back, he's reflecting.
Yeah.
He's not even, so it's a story that's got a lot of tragedy in it, a lot of heartbreak, and a lot of just like, a bunch, like all of this happened, and Reggie Miller, one of the greatest players in the NBA, didn't get a championship, so it's very, very, it was a very well told story.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, man, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. The camera, and just like one thing I wanted to say, sorry, Chalmers,
that's all right. No.
The footage that that came out, like, as sports fans, like, I knew about this when it happened. It was like, oh shit. But in this documentary, you get to see a bunch of clips that you've probably never seen before of just how wild it was in that building and just how fucking scary it looked. There's parts where the Pacers are finally getting pulled off the court and going to their dressing room, and like security's trying to shield them from just being bombarded with anything people could grab to throw at them. They were trying to rip chairs off the ground to throw at the players. Like, it was fucking nuts. It was a madhouse in there.
I also want to talk about that John Green guy, the guy who threw the first beer, because he
a fuckboy.
Well, he is an all-time piece of shit. First off,
fucking piece of shit.
He's the one that throws the beer, but then
hold on just 1 sec. Imagine going to a game 30 years ago, and you're like, they're going to be talking about me and call me a piece of shit in 2021 in Edmonton, Canada.
Yeah.
What I'm about to do is so epic in the Shithead Hall of Fame. Now continue.
So he's the guy that throws the first beer at Ron Artest, and that's why Ron runs into the stands. And this guy then like cowers off to the side and tries to trip Ron while Ron is going to fight a different fan. And they asked him in an interview later, they were like, how did you feel when Ron was beating the shit out of the guy who didn't do anything wrong? And this John Green guy's like, I felt relief that like I wasn't the one getting, and they're like, do you have any regrets? They asked me if he had regrets, and he basically said, I regret not tripping him sooner when he came up. And this guy was like going on, he was like going on news stations and shit and like parading himself around. He was proud of like what he did.
With what he did. Yeah.
Wow.
Very proud
here's the continuation of it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say they couldn't identify him for like the longest time. And the only reason he was identified is because the guy who was in charge of this criminal case, his neighbor used to date the guy. And that's how they were able to like track and figure out who he was. Otherwise they wouldn't have gotten it.
So that's the second part of this story that's so interesting, is that even right after the game, the police wanted to detain Jermaine O'Neal. They wanted to arrest him for throwing what they call a sucker punch. But at this point, he's like, no, I'm getting on the bus. But so anyways, the Oakland district attorney, I'm not really sure why it was Oakland, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The district attorney is now starting to do, he's the one that's got to do the case. And when Bag Milk brings up all the footage, that's what's so amazing is this guy had to go through a ton of tape. And what he really wanted to do was he wanted to identify the like 5 to 6 people that really caused or inflamed the riot. And when he watches all the tape, he really just starts to like hone in on this Jeff Green. I don't even know what his name is. And so he's the one that like, he's like, all I cared about was him. If he doesn't throw that beer cup, this whole thing does not happen. He's the one I want. And so then he's like trying to find all these camera angles. And that's when he realizes that he's the one that knows this guy. Like, how fucking crazy is that? How coincidental is that? And so, then this guy's on TV and everything. And they ended up going to court. Like he ended up getting charged with a few aggravated assault, I think inciting a riot, a few things, So there was a whole second life to the act, and like that, and that caused, so the litigation is what caused Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson, and Ron Artest from being able to discuss this thing for so long. And, they couldn't give their side of the story. So for like 10 years plus, they had to just basically bite their tongue and take the shit, basically lost all the respect they'd ever gained and ever earned. And it changed the whole NBA in a way of like, these guys are thugs, like you could never say the things in the papers that people were saying about them today.
It was just blatantly racist is what it was.
100% it was.
100%. The hip hop nature, the thugs, and David Stern, the commissioner of the NBA, he took it as like, I've got to convince my majority white audience that they are safe coming to basketball games. And so that's when he implemented,
a dress code,
kind of the dress code, I don't think you had to cover up tattoos at any point. Did you? What do I think?
I don't know, but you basically had to like, the guys were showing up wearing whatever they wanted and then having to go to wearing suits. It was
full Lou Lamoriello mode.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, absolutely. It was weird.
The best part about that was the one guy who dressed the worst in the whole NBA. The one guy who showed up to every game looking like an absolute slob was Steve Nash, a small white guy. Yeah. And he would wear like ripped baggy hoodies. He looked like Bill Belichick going to every fucking game. So it's funny.
That was before, once he hit Laker mode, then he got like the real aggressive side part, high and tight.
Oh yeah.
He went full pro when he became a Laker.
I love those behind the scenes documentaries like this though, like on major sporting events. They're the best. I could watch those all day.
You just get so many
stories like that. There's so many stories out there like that you could do something like this. And I think it's cool that they did that. Like, what if they did one like when Mike Milbury ran into the stands and beat a guy up with his own shoe? Like,
they should do one.
What's the story?
Or like Ty Domi pulling the guy into the penalty box kind of thing. Like, there's a bunch of them.
No.
None of them are on even close to the scale of the Malice.
No. Like it's like I said, when I love basketball highlights. That's as close as my NBA like fandom goes. but like, so I knew the story, but to actually see the story it was pretty awesome. It's just,
I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with you there. The Boston Bruins one, there's like 5 or 6 Bruins that end up in the stands.
And they're wearing skates. Yeah, that's like a little.
And they're wearing skates. That is not.
And 2 of them have lit cigarettes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
but
So-
I mean, there wasn't. I still don't know if it was on that level. It might have gotten like close, but like I don't know. Even in
But
the
you can
Malice,
fight in hockey, so it was like, that's just hockey being hockey. You know, it's like
Steve Jackson even I think says that in the doc. He's like,
Yeah,
what
Jermaine
about
O'Neal
fucking
does,
hockey?
yeah.
Oh, Jermaine O'Neal, sorry.
yeah.
Chalmers, out of
But
everyone I know, if you were down in the Coventry home section where you are being fancy about $400 into a Friday night and somehow or other a flame ran up the aisle fist cocked, out of everyone I know, they're fucking with the wrong guy if it's you on the other end of that, because you would fight and you would be in a documentary 30 years later and be like, this is how it's his fault. And people be watching the documentary and be like, that Chris Chalmers is quite he's quite convincing. And you're like, I have also changed my name to Meta World Peace.
And affluent.
My life would be ruined. My life would be ruined 20 years after it too.
If you haven't watched the Malice at the Palace doc, it is worth your time. And how's this for on a cold, rainy night in Edmonton? Order in some food from our friends at DoorDash.
Ding dong.
Whatever you want. Ding dong. Oodle noodle. There's plenty of places available on DoorDash.
Delicious.
Brought right to your door. Use the promo code RealLifeDD. Gets new customers 25% off and no delivery fee on their first order. And watch this Malice at the Palace doc. That sounds like a great way to spend an evening.
I ordered some pho last night on DoorDash. I needed some soup to warm the soul on a chilly eve.
I might actually do a war wonton from Oodle Noodle today. It's a perfect soup day.
Yeah, it is a good soup day. Oh, okay. On the topic of Oodle Noodle, I tried something. It was fucking delicious. It's going to be coming out. We just got to figure out the logistics. But it was a butter chicken mac and cheese.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
How?
Yes.
How?
Exactly how it sounds. With
Oh my God.
cheese added to it. Oh my
Baked?
fucking Lord. Not baked. We don't have the infrastructure to
So
bake
we
it.
have noodles and then we just throw the butter chicken on like an
And
Italian
cheese.
sauce?
No. The butter chicken is the sauce. And then cheese.
No, yeah.
Also, sticking with Oodle Noodle, I got to say the latest Kingsway video is just the meme potential in that video is fantastic.
So good. So good.
You know, we're going to talk about it. That video, it's very sad at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our boy Josh Park is last day with us is the golf tournament.
You got called up to the big time.
He's been scooped up by the evil empire.
We should probably let him. We should probably let him make that announcement, though, right?
Yeah, we will at the golf tournament. Like he's gonna be he's gonna be co-hosting at the golf tournament. I don't know how Josh wants to go about it, but obviously he's very talented and he's been presented a very good opportunity. So I don't
know how he wants to go about it.
So here's the news.
Right
I don't know how he wants to go about it. I'm just
We'll just keep it between us and the 12 listeners of the nation.
super tight group. It's funny because people see like we've been putting a call to action out for video.
People have figured it out.
People have figured it out. So, but like Josh got presented a really good opportunity to manage and create the in-game experience for the Oil Kings. So it's a world that he loves and knows and wants to get deeper in. So it's great. And hopefully there's a world where there's a bridge between the two sides and we can collaborate on stuff. But
it's either that or I start a smear campaign that he's smuggling pandas and we just get him back. We steal him back.
Yeah, you know, we'll find it. Yeah, by hook or crook, we will find a way to work with Josh Park again. But yeah, it's a sad loss, but good for him, and we'll truck on.
I love the guy. It's a bummer.
It couldn't be that hard to hack the Oil Kings scoreboard.
Yeah.
It couldn't be.
So it's Oil
There's
Kings?
no way they've gone to any real lengths to protect it.
We could just hire Anonymous and just have them infiltrate it and just come on and be like, "This is Anonymous. Did you know that?" Blah 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 blah.
And they'll be like, Josh T. Park brought Oilers Nation into the arena. Beep, boop, boop. And then they'll be like, oh my God, it was a mole exercise. You're fired. And we'll be like, Josh, you want your old job back?
Anyway, so that's sad because that video is performing hilariously well. It just makes me miss the fact that he's moving on even more. But all good.
If you're a video editor,
today, Jay, I had a good chat today with a really strong candidate, Jay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm
who's
pretty excited about
already
it too,
doing
actually.
work for us. Oh, sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say I'm pretty excited about it because I saw the exact same thing before even knowing that Wanye had that conversation. So,
Is that what you DM me about Bag Milk?
That's right. Yep.
Sorry, I have been literally on a fucking Zoom call from 8 a.m. until right when this podcast started. So I am out of the loop.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. I'm excited.
If not, I'll run Josh Park over with a golf cart on Thursday.
Can't work for OEG if you have broken legs. And then he goes,
That's
actually,
right.
I can. I definitely could.
We'll just do a deep fake of Josh Park telling everyone on the scoreboard that he only came back to bring Oilers Nation onto the scoreboard.
Yep.
It's me, Josh T. Park. Why would he refer to himself with his middle initial?
Yeah.
Gregor is also like, we're minutes away from the auction starting on the Gregor show to win your spot into the Oilers Nation Open, which means if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably too late. So you should have listened to the other podcast when we told you about it.
I tweeted it today. You gotta be on the ball, people.
My word of the day for the golf trip will be moderation. I need to take it easy.
Pitch count.
Yeah. You gotta
watch the pitch count.
Gotta mix in some water. Gotta really stay hydrated, and I think we'll shoot low. I think it'll be good.
And stay loose. You also got to. It's a fine balance because you have to. You can't under index on the fun juice either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's not the day to under index.
You have to insulate it and surround it by a really solid program.
JR, what if we win it?
With a 5-man team.
Good question, huh?
Good for us. Well, then good for us, Chalmers.
I see the trophy right behind Jay right now, actually.
You want some of this?
There it is.
That's
everybody will think the rig is in.
What do you think we'll shoot?
So to be fair, the very first year we had the Oilers Nation Open, my team did win it. And
I was on that team, was I not?
Nope. No. We were.
Oh wow, Chalmers, remembering yourself on a winning team that didn't exist.
And
That's still better world peace.
They were very sad that we couldn't submit our score, but there was a good happy ending to it because one of the guys on my team, his house caught fire, Jonas Chalmers, and he had a shit ton of Oilers memorabilia, all went up in smoke, gone forever.
Yeah.
So
I rebuilt that house.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So he won. He won.
I know. I rebuilt that house from scratch. What is there, like 4 people on Earth?
May have allegedly started the fire, but that's just my opinion.
He won this awesome. I don't know if it was it was an awesome Oilers piece. Like it was his first piece of memorabilia that he's getting back after his house burning down. He won it at the tournament from the super ticket.
Okay, well,
that was a nice story.
I wouldn't say it's a nice story that he wasn't allowed to win the golf tournament and his house burnt down, but I suppose the Oilers memorabilia is
if you ask that guy, is it worth your house burning down to win the Oilers Nation golf tournament? He's the first to tell you no.
Yeah.
He's just like, here's my signed picture of Lubomir Visnovsky. It made it all worth it.
Yes, exactly.
Lubo.
So, Yaremchuk, you asked what you think we'll shoot. And I think that we will be anywhere between 14 and 17 under.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you are grossly. I mean, you two are good. I'm not that good.
You only need 2, buddy.
I guess. I just
my goal, Freddie, man.
My goal is to sink a long putt for the boys.
That's all it is making putts, man. Is making putts and using your mullies wisely. So you buy your super ticket, you get your mullies.
Yeah.
The normal logic is to use your mully on a putt. That is so incorrect. You need to use it on the approach because the approach unlocks 4 putts. So you want to try to get it closer on the approach as opposed to trying to use it for.
I can't believe you're telling everybody this.
Yeah, that's a lot of truth to give to 12 listeners.
Well, I want to help everyone. I want people to come to the real life podcast and sometimes be like, you know what? I learned something today. Sometimes
it's about nothing.
Real life.
But sometimes it's about something.
Yeah. So that is the tactic.
It is one of the world's. It is one of the world's biggest myths that you use it on a putt because you get extra chance at it. That is not right. You do not do that. Have you ever heard the saying any idiot can do it the second time? Well,
nope.
You hit your approach shot and you get that feeling. You immediately drop a second ball, put it even tighter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chalmers. What was it saying? What was it saying?
Any idiot can do it a second time.
I was saying that.
There you go, you're Chuck. You're the fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I was trying to get Chalmers to say it twice.
Oh, I thought I was just cutting out. Getting bad service
no.
here.
You were cutting out though. Don't worry. That was part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bet you will fall in on that. It all depends how you do on the par threes. That's really the differentiator in a scramble. If you can birdie the birdieing a par three is like an eagle on a par five.
I'll be there to document all of it. Just wait till I'm creeping up.
Speaking of Eagles,
all you guys filming live, pressure's on.
Speaking of Eagles, did you guys see Rick from the Pint and producer of ON Radio and frequent co-host got an eagle?
Yeah, I saw that from like 100 and some odd yards out.
Yeah, looked like a decent shot. And then he had like 17 Instagram stories from the moment he realized it went into getting to the green all together.
He documented the 132-yard drive aggressively.
After I got to the first like 3 stories and I looked to see how many there were more, I'm like, holy hell, he's carrying this thing all the way in.
Got to stretch it out.
I went golfing twice this weekend with my girlfriend, and in each round she missed a hole in one by like a putter length, more or less. And someone DM'd me when I posted it, and they're like, man, if she would have made it, that would have been great material for grilling Chalmers on the pod.
How do you feel, Chalmers, if your Renchuk's girlfriend gets a hole in one before you?
The exact same fucking way I would feel if anybody who has played less than 100 rounds of golf in their life, if they had gotten a hole in one, that's how I would feel.
There's my friend. There's my friend that would fuck up a flame sitting on the aisle. There he is. There he is. I heard that tone.
I gotta stop following fucking golf Instagram right now, because every other thing is about some guy who like, oh, second round, got a hole in one with a driver on a par 3. And you're like,
oh,
I'm going to fucking kill somebody.
My goal in life now is to get a hole in one before Chalmers.
You know what?
I bet you will.
Part of the shtick is like, it's like nobody, I mean, you never really think about it, but like, I love when we're on par 3s now and people are just like, let's get one here. And like, it just adds an extra element, because when it does happen, it's going to be fucking epic. I love it.
You're like Ray Bork going to Colorado to win the Cup. Like, everyone had been cheering for him for so long, and he'd been so good for so many years, but never hoisted it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like it's like everybody's cheering against it ever happening.
No.
Just so the story continues. Yeah.
If you're cheering for Chalmers to get a hole in one, truthfully, because if he gets one, we're going to talk about it on this show. Tweet him and say, Chalmers, I'm cheering for you. Give him a little ray sunshine on an otherwise cloudy day.
I'm gonna be cheering for Chalmers this Thursday, because there is 2 cash hole in one prizes, and by being in his group, I obviously get to enjoy some of those funds. And there's the Nation truck, which means if you win it, I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah, I'll just give it back to you.
I would like
you would.
So
I would like to let the record show, if I get the hole in one, Jay, you don't get the truck back. I will be driving it.
You gave me a real good excuse on Saturday not to ever give you anything back ever again.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
Jeez, you're still sour about it.
That's deeply inside. Deeply inside.
You're the one who brought it up.
No, I know. Because it's to give JR. Because if I could give JR some shit now and then, I'm going to take that opportunity.
There's a lot of shit said this week that we seem to be forgetting that we're doing a podcast that's like people sitting around to our friends giving each other shit, but we're actually doing a podcast. So when you say shit like that, it isn't really,
Well, Chalmers, to add salt to the wound, Saturday was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet it was.
There was an event at my house that my girlfriend was in charge of with her friends to emulate Folk Fest. So our Folk Fest crew. So it was, my girlfriend grew up on the north side, so her whole north side crew came over for Folk Fest. And Chalmers does have a case. He's been part of the crew. He's connected to the crew, but wasn't an attendee of the event. So there's some sourness there.
There's a pandemic. There's a limit to these things.
So really, this isn't a selfish thing. I could care less about going to a
that audio is crystal clear, eh, your Chuck?
Yeah,
crystal clear.
Is it bad?
Well, you were just about to go on a rant and your phone was like, I don't think they want to hear this. And then it fucked with you.
Is it okay now? I'll stop.
Yeah.
Clears a bell.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So this isn't selfish. This is I'm fighting a fight for somebody else who's and this is inside baseball, but This was it was told to us that it was going to the Folk Fest is one anybody can go to the Folk Fest, but there is a tradition at the Folk Fest, and it is where you go and run tarps. Have you ever done that, Bag Mode?
No, I've never been to Folk Fest actually.
What you do is you stand in a line for like 4 hours, and then when they call your name or your color, you get to run on the hill and put down your tarp, and you save an area for your whole group. And usually what they'll do is you'll send 1 or 2 people, all the tarps, and they'll go do it.
When they show Bag Milk on Insta, like crazy people on the stage rushing the Walmart for Boxing Day sales.
Of course, yeah.
Think exactly that, but Edmonton hippies holding on to tarps.
I'm with you.
Exactly.
That's what I needed.
Hippies. Mm-hmm. So Jay says, well, listen, this was just, it's a small gathering just for tarp runners. And my beautiful, beautiful wife sitting right next to me goes, I ran tarps 2 years in a row with you guys after working an 8-hour shift all night, and went and got in that line and then did it. And Jay goes, oh, you did? Oh. And then it was
it wasn't my event. That was what I was told. It's like for the OG Folk Fest crew that ran tarps. And that's what I was told. But I guess I'm missing the other layer. This is the high school crew that as well. So it's the whole O'Leary friendship circle.
When people think about events, they think about not inviting people. And then you say to your person you're planning an event with, oh, don't worry. People don't even give a shit if they're not invited to events. They are not contemplating Chris Chalmers, who takes it as a shot across the bow.
He's so offended. And that's the thing. This is a whole other world I didn't have control of. Chalmers, if I'm having a party at my house, you've been to every one of them.
There's something that people got to know
since like
about
1993.
Yeah. If people don't know about this, there's something they'll need to know. Even if I don't want to go to something, I want to be invited. And even if it's something that you would know for in a million years I would not go to. If you don't invite me, I'm like, what the fuck? What? and then I like dial it up to 10 just to like, because I like to have fun with. Honestly, it's just fun for me. It's very fun. And so I knew that I was going to give Jason shit.
Well, and then Chalmers, the other thing is, like, if I start inviting my side of the aisle,
it's just
then this turns into
open. Yeah, no.
That's the thing. Like, it had to be a controlled number of people, and I was hands off because Folk Fest I've been invited to. I don't drive the bus. It's out of my control.
And so Wanye, this is the part where I go, yeah, I know that. I wouldn't have even come anyways. Like legit. We had baseball provincials. We had baseball provincials all Saturday.
Yeah, and then Sunday. This is the part of the story where you find out Chalmers isn't even in town, and if you had invited him, he couldn't even come if he wanted to. But friendship
Everybody has a friend like me, and if you don't have a friend like me,
Chalmers, nobody has a friend like you. That's why you're on the podcast. Nobody has a friend.
If you don't have a friend like me, you are the friend like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, before we keep going along here, quickly, some love to Twig and Berry. So I believe we'll be at our golf tournament. Promo code Nation15 gets you 15% off. twigandberries.ca, look styling, and pick up some of their nutsack underwear. Very comfy. I'm wearing mine right now.
There may or may not be a piece of Twig and Berry swag for all of the players.
Oh, nice.
Charles, how'd your boy do at Provincials?
Good. So, 6 teams. 3 on one side, 3 on the other. I'll make this real quick because some people don't like it when I talk about it. Some people really like when I talk about coaching. So I'll do like kind of the middle road.
Guess which group I'm in, Chalmers?
The not side. Yeah. So we lost our first game. We won our second game. If you win one game, you make it into semis because then 4 teams play in the semifinals. We got to the semifinals and we were up 6-1 in the top of the 5th. We went into the bottom of the 5th, and in true, it was the best 4 innings of baseball I've seen these kids play. They were turning double plays where a kid would get the ball at shortstop, touch second base, and with a spinning throw it to first. Yeah. It was. I've never been so proud of these kids in my life as I was, watching that game, and I'm still proud of them. We just caught the bad side of a heater, and they went up 7-6 in the bottom of the 5th. And I'm not going to get into all the pitching because the fact is like you can only throw pitches so many times. These are kids, and so we were handcuffed with what we could do. The fact is like the kid that was pitching, he pitched an absolute outstanding game, but we got on the wrong side of a few bounces, and 7-6 went into the top of the 6th inning, which is the last inning. We had guy on second, guy on third, and 2 players struck out on some questionable strikes. And so that's how it ended. It was a heartbreaker. The kids were devastated. But you know, it was an awesome season. Probably my favorite coaching season of the year. The team that we lost to in the first game ended up winning, the Consort Cubs. Congratulations to the Consort Cubs. They are Alberta provincial champions.
You know who's from Consort? Do you know who's from Consort?
Katie Lang.
Katie Lang.
And we got beef with Katie Lang and the Consort Cubs.
Damn right we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Fake house living, Riverdale avoiding Katie Lang.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah, that's how the
talk.
South Jasper Place Blue Jays went, and it was an awesome weekend. My kid's going to be a better baseball player and a better person for being involved in that kind of thing. Feeling that kind of disappointment is only going to make him stronger. So we're already on to hockey. He's at hockey camp today.
It hasn't worked for the Leafs, but hopefully it works for your son.
Yeah, I hope so.
There was a story out on TSN today about the Leafs from Travis Yost, and the title was Leafs heading into this season with the last dance type mentality, like the Bulls in that last season. And someone quote tweeted it and was like, must have missed the 5 championships.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, if the Leafs fuck up this year, they're gonna blow it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the GM sticks around? Do they give him a rebuild, or is he Gonzo Alonso?
Yeah, I think he's gone. I don't think he gets a chance to do anything.
Does he get hired immediately by a different team though? Yes.
Probably. Yeah. It probably
imagine
doesn't take him long.
We should probably talk about the news that Mr. Jason Greger broke on OilersNation.com today.
The Oilers will be requiring fans 12 and up to provide proof of vaccination.
Excellent.
Of course they are. Anybody mad about this is an idiot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have anything really to say about that. That's how I feel. The majority of society is vaccinated and getting vaccinated. And if you don't want to play along with the majority, you can watch the games at home. I don't give a shit. So
the Facebook comments are nasty.
The Facebook comments are just like moderation on the internet can be tough at times, but days like today, man, it's been a battle. There's a few of us minding the comments today, and it's been a struggle.
Can I ask a couple questions about this? This is the first. So you guys were talking about this when I jumped in on the podcast, like at the very beginning, and I didn't quite know what you were talking about. I figured it was something to do with this, but so to hear that they are requiring vaccination report or vaccination certificates from people 12 and over,
or a negative
the
test.
least that they could do, the least responsible thing they could do. They should absolutely be doing it. And so, on what Facebook page? Like, is this the Edmonton Oilers Facebook page?
No, ours, bro. We're Oilers Nation. You ever heard of the website Oilers Nation?
Oh, so like on your post, then they go, I don't fucking know how this stuff works. This is
all right,
why I asked the question.
I'll break this down.
God damn it.
So Jason Greger sends me a text message. He says, Bag Milk, I got an article to go up. I say, okay, Jason Greger, I'll take care of it for you. So I get everything ready. And then when I press the old post, the internet machine spreads that baby out. It goes to Twitter, it goes to Facebook, it goes everywhere. So on our Oilers Nation Facebook page, the article where Jason broke the news, the commentary on there is aggressive.
Scathing.
it's been a morning.
QAnon-esque? Yeah.
It's been a morning.
I got a word. Okay, so I got a word of advice for anybody for the Nation Golf Tournament. If you want to make sure that I will not have a conversation with you and not talk to you, and most likely even maybe say some choice words to you, bring up the fact that you don't like the fact that the Oilers are asking for vaccination certificates. I will look at you. I will know exactly which part of society you are in, and I will walk away.
Yeah, right. You'll punch them. You'll punch them like people punched Meta World Peace.
Keeping it 100, you rem Chuck.
Whoa, dusted it off. Let's go.
Also, other news that I want.
I want that smoke. I'm not afraid to argue in public. I don't give a shit.
Well, then you'll also love
about something like that. I don't give a fuck. Let's go.
Well, then you'll also love this, Chalmers. You want different smoke. Our boy Angus sent a message to Oilers Nation today, and I like that Wanya shared this. So I wore Nation gear to my first date in probably like 4 years, and she loves Nation gear. It wins over babes. How's that?
I actually had a friend say that once too to me. a guy I knew for a few years now DM me and was like, I was with a lady, and the next morning when we got up, she immediately put on her Keep Nooch Forever shirt. I was like, oh my God.
That's a keeper. That's a keeper right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nation Gear. Uniting
Got
people.
the job.
Nation Gear. Speaking of Nation Gear, I literally was having a shower today and got overcome with anxiety of the sense of like, we got to come up with new designs for the season.
The shower?
This morning, Jay, you'll be happy to know 6 new Nation Gear designs went into prototyping.
Oh, thank baby Jesus.
You don't even worry about this. You can have the shower screens about something else. This is while the prototypes are getting made. Prototypes are getting made, man. You know what an initial one-day design looks like? It's terrible.
I think I should start getting prototypes to wear around and just like.
You want one?
Feel out. Yeah, it's like a market research.
The new shirt says Chalmers will knock a bitch out. Is that a problem? You want to wear that?
Oh, yeah, that's
Sons
a
and
problem.
Chalmers is a chummer.
Problem.
Chalmers is a chummer.
Yeah. Chalmers Chumco.
Chalmers, are you happy to be a part of the most infamous chumming accusation in Northern Alberta in the last 10 years?
Yes, quite.
Are you happy that surrounds your character?
I'd even wear a Chalmers is a chummer sweater because it's like that ironic.
You
thing.
would?
Like,
if let's make this podcast bigger, because if it is bigger, we can get a chum shirt off the ground.
Yeah, because I was going to say we do get requests every now and then for both real life and ON radio to have some kind of merch available. So we need more people to listen.
Well,
tell your friends.
And what I've noticed is like stories like that. Like I wish we need to bring up some more of that stuff from the past, because it's funny how people will always like they'll message me on Instagram or Facebook and they'll always like hashtag it with like either I am a cheater or I'm not a cheater.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't ask, but what the fuck? Okay,
yeah, that's great. It's part of the whole show, and it's funny to bring out. We should definitely dig deep and bring up some more of those events in our lives and air them out.
If there's one thing I know about us, and that's why we're able to carry on a podcast, is that our lives are one scandal after another, that we're constantly breaking to one another, and that's the way we get through the days.
Oh, I had someone, and I should actually get their name and give them a shout out here. But they basically reached out to me. It's at Y2Bay on Twitter. And they were like, hey, I'm just getting caught up on the podcast. Whatever happened with your father-in-law's basement? Did everything sort itself out?
Dear.
At first, I wanted to be like
rebuilding the house right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
At first, I wanted to be like, how are you like 8 months behind on the podcast? Like, that was so long ago. But he said he was glad everything worked out. So I appreciated that message.
Yeah. I'm
and
surprised
how
you don't have a burrito
what's the
sponsor
update?
yet.
What's the update, Tyler? Are we at 100% back in the, is it ready to flood again?
Oh yeah, it's ready to flood again.
Nice.
Are you allowed back? Or are you still on like?
I was never not allowed back.
Forced exile.
Yeah, I wouldn't allow you in the house.
Yeah.
I went over
Coming
there
in
the other
using
day and
my
used their hot tub.
Yeah, coming in using my hot tub and flooding my basement? Hell no.
My girlfriend, didn't even come to use it either. I just showed up and I was like, hey, I need the hot tub. And they're like, all right.
And your father-in-law put that chastity belt on you and locked it?
Gross. That's
so funny, eh? You still can't get it off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm wrapping up the pod now. That's what you get for saying weird shit like that, is me wrapping up the pod. And actually,
that's what I get. That's the best part of the podcast.
speaking of chastity belts, take care of what's under your chastity belt with our friends at manscaped.com and the promo code REALLIFE, which gets you 20% off.
Yeah,
20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com. Promo code REALLIFE. We good?
I'm checking out. Oh, go ahead, Chalmers. I got to check out here.
We're trying to do with segments, and I got some of my current affairs thing. Has everybody watched these videos of the new trend that's going around? The
milk crate
challenge?
Yes.
I can't fucking get enough.
It's so good.
Oh my God. It's
your
the best
Remchuk needs
thing
to
I've
do
ever
one.
seen.
Yeah, your Remchuk does. Your Remchuk does.
I can do it.
The milk crate
Tyler,
challenge.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody can do it.
Yeah, your Remchuk can. We're gonna video it.
Oh man, Snoop
Tyler
Dogg
Tracks, the milk crate challenge.
Snoop Dogg has been aggregating them, and it's just like, it's my favorite thing ever, because people are eating shit like really badly.
Okay, I gotta jump out of here, boys. You keep.
Yeah, you get out of here. Bag milk. You see the one guy who basically gets like the paddleboard shakes at the top of the very top of it, and then just lands on his face.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love how society is just rotating between like the darkest possible shit online, where like people are debating existential issues of like philosophy and race, and then the same exact shit brings you the milk crate challenge. And it's just like, oh yeah, but then we also just huck ourselves in giant piles of milk crates.
I've been laughing all weekend. They're just so funny. It's the worst idea, but also the best idea.
We good now? Yeah, the milk crate thing's fucked. The internet's fucked.
Oh, you're Remchuk. Have a little laugh once in a while. You're turning into your father.
I can't wait for Thursday. Wanya, you're not coming to the golf tournament, eh? Like, that's just not your thing, eh?
No, I don't exist in real life, bro.
Sad.
Why? It's not sad at all. It's not sad at all. I'm so happy we have a golf tournament, but I don't want.
I just think people would love to meet you.
That's precisely the fucking point, you're Remchuk. Oh, you're scared of heights? Oh, I think you'd just be great if you dangled over the Grand Canyon attached by a rope to your wang. Like, no,
sounds like a good way to get over a fear of heights.
No,
well,
you're Remchuk, because I didn't get into this to be fucking the guy going around being like, hey, how are you?
Listen, I've got the same kind of weirdness that Wanye does with this stuff. And that's why I tend to forget the pitch count when I'm at the Oilersnation Open, because people are like, hey, bag milk. And I'm like, oh my God, stranger danger. Smoke bomb out of the room.
There is also the fact that due to Wanye Jr., I have to run a super tight quarantine. I can't be going to events. But I'm not blaming it on him because I wouldn't go anyways.
That's true.
No.
I wouldn't go anyways, though. Don't blame it on him.
All right, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Episode 309 of the Real Life Podcast. DoorDash, that promo code, Real Life DD. Twig and Berries is Nation 15. Manscaped is simply Real Life. And of course, we have our title sponsor, the HGA Group, for everyone who is here today, and all of our great sponsors, and you, the listeners. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk again next Monday, I guess.
See you Thursday.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Life Podcast. Don't want to miss any of our nonsense? Hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.